repeated again for the minutes. So
yeah,
just so people are aware that that is kind of recorded. Certain people did declare interest and withdrew from.
right.
In connection with services for the Japanese community, I just want to mention the flag that David Boland-Smith received an Emperor's Award recently, and it just will be good for perhaps the Mayor's office to note that I would certainly recommend that we have a special little thank you ceremony to David too, specifically for many years to the Kurosaki Committee.
Well,
why don't we noted, but I'm just
we did,
about,
but I just wonder whether we could have a sort of a recognition here, and you know, at sort of one of the council meetings, get him to come to a council meeting or something. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe around morning tea time, so we can present him with something. Very good. All right. So now we come to the receipt of the audit report, and do we? Yeah, you come to the table. Yep. So are we all up and running? Good to go. Okay. Right. We're just dealing with the last matter on the agenda, which is the Christchurch City Council annual report, including obviously the audit report.
Madam Mayor, may I invite Julian Tintown to join us as well?
And Julian, could you come and join us as well? Thank you. Right. Where do you want to start with this?
I'll just give a brief introduction, and then if there's any questions, we're happy to obviously take.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor, thank you. We're very pleased today to be able to present the annual report to you for approval. The operating result for the year was a small deficit of 23 million, which after adjusting for capital revenues resulted in a surplus of 307 million. And just to give you some background as to what the capital revenues were, they were things such as NZTA subsidies, reimbursement from SARA for costs relating to the earthquake, and the special earthquake levy that is collected from ratepayers. We then put through the revaluation, which was for the wastewater and roading assets and for CCHL subsidiaries, and that has resulted in a final surplus for the year of 1.4 billion. But it is important to emphasise that this is a non-cash result. It's not because we've overrated ratepayers. As I said, the operating result was a $23 million deficit. The rest of it is either capital revenues, which you are required to account for, or accounting entries, which come in as revenue within the accounts. Our balance sheet remains strong, and we're in a strong position to deliver on our financial and infrastructure strategies. We have received the accounting opinion from Audit New Zealand, and copies have been circulated to you all. The opinion is modified as it was last year, largely unchanged from last year. The disappointment for us this year was that despite revaluing the wastewater and roading assets, we were unable to quantify the financial impact of the earthquake damage to a level that met audit standard and the accounting standards. So that is still modified for that reason. Also, there's still uncertainty around our insurance receivables, and obviously a good reason for not disclosing them. And finally, the component of the skirt work in progress audit have quite rightly pointed out that included within it are actually completed assets, but because Council doesn't know what's there until it arrives, we're unable to separate it out. So we feel we did make some progress this year. It is better than last year, but unfortunately not good enough. I would like to thank Julian and his team very much. It has been another very hard audit, and I'd like to thank you sincerely, Julian, for your help, and of course Patricia and her team who worked all hours to produce the report. And as I said, we're very happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you. Do you want to add anything, Julian? I mean, it's. I want to reiterate what Diana said. You know, you guys have worked extraordinarily hard yet again. I know that our accounts are extraordinarily challenging for a whole lot of reasons, as Diane's already highlighted, but we are very grateful and know that, you know, I mean, it is disappointing on one level, but it has to be that way because of the circumstances. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Madam Mayor. There are improvements, albeit pretty subtle, and perhaps I should remind ourselves, in last year's audit, that's the 2014 audit, we were able to clear the water supply assets. And this year, we cleared the land and buildings. And although we could not clear roading, stormwater assets and sewerage assets, we are willing to help council get to a point where we can remove those qualifications. And that might well involve, with council's agreement, bringing in our specialist engineer to help council validate the clear roadmap to how the valuation issues could be resolved. So I have discussed it with management, they're supportive. I want to take it a bit further, perhaps clearing it with the Audit Risk and Management Risk Management Committee. So it may or may not expedite the elapsed time in which we are able to clear those qualifications, but at least we're trying something different. So I think that's really all I want to say about the audit report. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, thank you. Are there any questions? Yanni?
Yeah, thank you, Julian. I was kind of interested in the why it's so difficult for us to actually determine the amount of revaluations and the depreciation. I mean, skirt projects are pretty well defined.
Yep.
We know the standards, they've been sorted through government,
Yep.
what standard they're building to. Why is it so difficult for us to actually understand?
Okay, it's because the accounting standards require completed assets to be transferred from your capital work in progress account to your real asset account, so that the council can immediately begin providing depreciation. That has not been possible because, as Diane has mentioned, the capital work in progress balance is a big lump sum of $804 million. So there's no work done or possible to be done at balance date to tease out the bit that relates to the genuine capital work in progress, for which depreciation need not be provided, the completed asset portion on which depreciation has got to be provided, but you have not got that information to calculate that. And lastly, there is a proportion of expenditure captured within capital work in progress that relates to operational expenditure. That got to be flushed out through the income statement. Those are the reasons, Councillor.
So is there anything that we can do aside from you? I find it extraordinary. Audit New Zealand bringing in a special engineer to value our infrastructure when we've got the most amount of money being spent through an alliance and the most amount of focus on our infrastructure than we've ever had.
Sorry, perhaps I should clarify that the bringing in the engineers in relation to your roading assets and your stormwater assets, where the asset condition information is incomplete, in fact insufficient, inadequate, due to the extent of damage to those assets. So until such time you are able to determine precise asset condition, you are not in a position to quantify what might be the amount of damage and book the impairment charge. That's the problem.
Hasn't SCIRT already done that? Haven't we just spent a fortune on SCIRT doing?
Yeah, this is beyond SCIRT assets. So
this is not the SCIRT assets. I agree with you. We do know we know the condition and the value of the SCIRT assets. It's the condition of the remaining network for the rest of the city.
So what percentage of the network was not assessed by our horizontal infrastructure repair program? That is outstanding that we don't know.
Off the top of my head, I can't recall, but on some networks, it's actually quite a skirt. It's only dealing with this very small proportion of our total. This is the impact of the earthquake on the the stuff that's not obviously damaged, but it might actually impact the remaining useful life of that asset. It's getting an understanding of what an asset that would normally have an 80-year life, what does, after the impact of the earthquakes, what impact has that had on that 80-year life? That's the next step that we need to get to, is to say, for things that aren't obviously earthquake damage, don't need to be replaced immediately, when will they need to be replaced? In 80 years, as they would typically, or is it now 50, 20, 30? Those are the questions that are being asked that we need to have to look into.
Okay, so the issue for us is maybe when that work is done, we have another shortfall of $1 billion or 500 million. Is that?
I don't know the answer.
Well, no, but the key issue is the timetable. Yep. So, I mean, it's not like $1 billion needs to be spent next year. It might be $1 billion over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or 75 years. I mean, it might be 5 years loss of life. The point is that it is a valuation issue.
Yes, but it impacts on our balance sheet because we need to depreciate for the life of those assets.
Yes.
And if we're not depreciating, then
well, we are depreciating, but
trouble.
are we providing enough? And that's what we
and that is the question we need to ask and answer.
So in terms of a time frame for getting an answer to that question.
Sorry, come again?
The time frame for getting an answer to that question.
That is in the hands of council, not us, really. Until, like I said, until you're able to determine accurately the asset condition, you're not able really to determine what might be the remaining useful life, for example. That is, has got a huge bearing on the valuation results.
So what about staff? Do we have a kind of target?
Yes, our target was last June, which was disappointing. So we are now reassessing it. We think roading may be one of the most easy of the three to resolve, so we'll work with that. But the offer that Julian has made for our engineers to work with his engineer, I think will help us a lot, because quite often it was a matter of us knowing what we needed to provide that would help the auditors form an opinion. So it's not just a matter of shoveling more information at them, it's a matter of providing stuff that's specialised that will help them. And by working with Audit New Zealand's engineer, I think we'll be able to actually zero in better on what specifically needs to be done. I mean, the valuation that was done last year was, there's nothing wrong with the valuation in the sense it wasn't the valuer, it was simply the fact that most of the assets are underground and it's very hard to work out what they are. You progressively do that over a number of years by testing and sampling, and that has been done. But what perhaps wasn't done was pulling all of that together to form an opinion, and that's, I think, the work we need to do this year. So we will be working this year. If we can get rid of roading and if we can get rid of wastewater, that would actually be quite a major thing. That would leave only stormwater, and we won't look to value stormwater assets this year because our engineers tell us they're still not comfortable with the condition. So they themselves don't know. But on its own, stormwater is not a huge, it's I think 5% of our total network.
Thank you.
All right. Andrew.
Thank you. That's the second time.
I know.
Very forgettable.
No. I'm just having a challenging day.
Referring to page 212, paragraph 31.4, I note that in the second column of text there, we've got a note that Councillors Jones and Chen have donated directors' fees to the Mayor's Welfare Fund. Those are CCT directors' fees. I'm aware that the CDC board also passed a resolution that the council of directors of CDC would do the same thing. So certainly it was my intention that my director's fees as a director of CDC would go to the Mayor's Welfare Fund. What's the status of those funds, and why are they not appearing in the same way as the Chen and Jones ones?
We contacted those entities that and asked them what they had paid to the particular councillors. CDC said they had not paid anything directly. So that's why the CDC funds aren't shown, and the CDC directors' fees aren't shown there. CCT had made the payments directly to the councillors. and they had then been on-paid by those councillors to the Mayor's Welfare Fund. I haven't confirmed yet if CDC have made the payment to the Mayor's Welfare Fund.
So it may be that those funds are still sitting with
CDC, and they are going to make a payment over. I will be following it up with CDC.
All right, great. And then just one further question. In that column, there's a further figure of $25,427. What's the status of those funds at the moment?
As I understand it, the payment of $25,427 isn't subject to the resolution, the agreement of councillors that they would be paid to the Mayor's Welfare Fund. Because that's from the joint, it's from the councillor's appointment to the Transwaste Board.
Yeah, now there had been some informal discussion about a report coming to council to resolve a number of issues around that original resolution and the way that it's been applied or read. Are you able to give an update on where that's at?
No, that's
No, I'm not.
Darryl.
All right.
I think I've got
Okay, I'm happy
a
to
draft.
take that offline.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
While Julian's in the room, if I may,
Yep.
just in terms of this qualified opinion, what beyond the things that you've outlined in terms of the assets that you've just outlined of street works and drainage and things, what else would need to happen for the council not to have a qualified audit?
There are basically three matters. My take is that once the valuations are clear, in other words, the valuations are compliant with the financial reporting standards, and that might well be 18 months to 2 years out. There will still be another 6 months for the skirt work to be analysed. So you're really looking at quite some distance out to get those qualifications out of the way. That's my estimate.
There will still be what to get them out the way?
There will be the estimated elapsed time for the qualifications to be completely removed from the audit report.
The estimated lapse time being
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
So
if you look at the timetable that we all know, Skirt's work program will finish in December 2016.
Yep.
And knowing what we know based on the history so far, with council's ability to get information from Skirt to analyse out the work in progress balance, allow yourself 6 months to get that information and book it, and then allow your valuers to do a decent job, and in the same time getting the asset condition information all ready for your valuers to work on. So that's my estimate.
So in terms of your decision to qualify the report, it's just around the valuations of those key assets?
Yes.
That's the only thing?
Yes.
Well, the three things.
Insurance, of course.
Yes, no, I
Insurance,
understand the insurance.
valuation of property, plant and equipment. 2, the City Council was unable to accurately classify the capital work in progress balance, and we were unable to obtain sufficient audit evidence over the carrying value of insurance receivables recognised on the financial statement. So they're the three things.
That's correct, yes.
So in relation to the second one, what do you want to see in order to get rid of your qualifications?
Sorry, the second one is
That's the issue about
the capital work in progress.
depreciation and valuation, isn't it?
No, the skirt work in progress.
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
skirt work in progress,
Yes.
that one? Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
you
not transferred.
No, you got the push skirt. That's my answer.
You've got to pressure skirt.
Yes.
Yeah, but they have improved, haven't they?
But at what rate have they improved?
Do I get a
Because
yes?
it was off a slightly glacial...
They were off a very low base.
They've improved in that last year. There was some very old work there.
Yeah.
There was a very slow process for transferring it through. This year, the actual balance has dropped, and the average life has dropped. The work there is 3 months on average old, which is not a bad record for passing it through. But the problem is, still within that 804, there is a large component of completed assets that we we have no visibility of, and therefore we are unable to do anything. I mean, for things to be perfect, we would be looking for SCIRT to transfer finished jobs to us as soon as they're finished, whereas they do it by sector or something, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So in practical terms, is there anything that stops them completing, like transferring the completed job to us? Given that they know what they've done, they've now planned out their entire work program, they know what they're going to do until the end of their time, what would it stop them actually transferring kind of the week later, on completion even?
I think the way they have their system set up, I think, is the problem.
And their audit processes.
On their audit processes.
WT partnership audit, yeah.
But what actually does stop it? Because I just don't understand it. I'm sorry to be so dense.
No, well, I have the same problem.
But isn't there something that we could do to fix it?
Well, we did try, and we did talk to senior SCIRT people, and as I said, they have made some improvements. It's probably worth having another one to see if we can move anything further, because we did point out to them that was a major issue to
Because
us.
presumably it's having an impact on our debt levels
Perhaps
as well.
Jane could help us out.
I think that the audit committee will have seen a marked increase in the transfer of the SCIRT work. It has been noticeable. I think you need one of our engineers, maybe Dave, to explain exactly why it's not as simple as just passing it over, because we'll get the liability. There's actually a role for council to sign on the line that they're happy to receive it. Once it comes to us, we can't hold them to account for anything that's not working. So having said all of that, we do have a push on it. But,
I have to say, I'm completely still not okay about it. I'd
No.
really like us to just take this a bit further, if we may, at the appropriate
Could I
committee.
maybe bring a paper back?
That would be really nice. Thanks, Di.
That's
Paul?
my question. It's around the liability issues, and I'd like to know what the pros and cons of getting it back early or not, aside from accounting issues, what the issues are.
Well,
And there will be
should
pros
add
and
that.
cons
Should
of
we
it.
see if we could get a report from the Horizontal Infrastructure Governance Group,
You have,
maybe
liability
report
issues.
directly to council rather than come through
audit and risk.
ITE or audit and risk, yeah.
There's also an issue around the insurance, which I don't quite still understand. So work in progress isn't insured. But
It's insured up until the time that
It's insured up until the time
completed by SCIRT.
handed over to us.
No, once they've completed the job, their own insurance cover ceases.
Yeah. So, I mean, our underground insurance, we don't.
Ours picks it up once we take title of it, so there's a gap. On the other hand, our insurance program is capped anyway, so we... And to be honest,
We're going to ask for a comprehensive report on all of the issues relating to, where we're up to, the whole lot, the whole 9 yards. So we'll have a whole 9 yards report.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Can we get the 10 yards report?
Have other people got questions for Julian? I just wanted to change one thing on the in the report itself, which is just the vision statement at the beginning, because I was at the audit and risk meeting when we considered this, and I simply said, because we wanted to get rid of that dreadful phrase boutique city, that to take the phrase from the government's document, and that's been taken literally, and so it now doesn't read like a vision statement. So if it could just be changed to that Christchurch remains a place where anything is possible, a place that is open to new ideas, new people and new ways of doing things, and that way we pick up the essence of it, but we don't have a phrase that talks about something that we're renowned for rather than something we have a vision for. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Was there anything else that people want to raise? Glenn?
Big picture question.
Yep.
Just on the opinion, something I noticed a few weeks ago there, having a modified audit report, and I have been curious over any implications for, credit ratings, etc. So it says there are no direct consequences, but any indirect consequences then of
No, I don't think so. I think we've made sure that our credit rating and banks understand where we are, that they understand that audit have confidence in our underlying processes. It's simply the value of the assets. So no, I don't think there's any indirect either.
Ellie?
Can I just ask about that, because I completely missed that vision page in the report.
The best page.
When you, when you're looking at a vision, you're looking into the future, and yet the wording there sounds as though we're there.
So we're saying Christchurch remains a place where anything is possible.
Christchurch is a place.
We've just...
Oh, you've just changed that.
I've just changed it to remains.
Oh,
Christchurch
I
remains.
beg your
Our
pardon.
vision is that it remains a place
I beg your
that
pardon.
is these
Yeah,
things.
thank you.
Yeah. Or we can put Christchurch is a place.
No, what you said's fine. That was my point.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
What's going on Facebook?
Yeah,
Christchurch is?
I think it is
Okay,
better. Yeah.
because Vicky is our recorder on Facebook of all things that happen at meetings, and in fact I received a complaint that I was absent from the last meeting, which meant that there weren't regular updates coming through on Facebook because she was chairing the meeting. So I just want you to know that people do take notice of it. So it will read now, Christchurch is a place where anything is possible. Right. Great. So I will now, with some... I thought did we have a mover and a seconder for that? I thought, yeah, Raf and then Jamie had moved and seconded this. So I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And I think that is it. I think we've done and dusted.
Except
Oh, sorry, we've now got to move that we accept the report as a whole, and that will also be moved by Raf and seconded by Jamie, and I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And I think I have to sign a letter now, don't I?
Accept your report.
Or have I already done that?
Okay, sorry. Some advice from Julian is that we have to accept his report and then move that the annual report with his report be adopted.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go back.
Does it not say that?
Go back. It said that notes that it will receive a modified audit report on the basis that has reviewed the letter of representation, approves the annual report and recommends it for adoption. So somewhere in there, do we need to say that that we've reviewed receive the independent auditor's report?
Under the Local Government Act, the annual report got to be adopted with the auditor's report.
Right.
So I think if you clarify that in the resolution, then
Okay.
you are fully in compliance with the Act.
Okay.
So maybe 1.2.4 if that's said.
Or shall we put, oh yeah, approves the annual report with the inclusion of the independent auditor's report for the year ended 30 June 2015 and recommends it for adoption. Well, actually, and adopts it. Because we've approved the annual report with the inclusion. No, actually, what we need to do is just change the word approves to adopt and take out the recommendation. Because what we've got is we've got the committee's recommendation, but we haven't actually turned it into what the council's deciding. The council is deciding now, and we don't need subject to the receipt of the audit report at the top because we've got it. So take out subject there. Has reviewed the draft. Because this hasn't been turned into a council resolution. That's right. The trouble. So
let me perhaps help you there. If it would be a lot clearer if you have a resolution first and foremost to approve the annual report for adoption. Then you receive the auditor's report, and then you adopt the annual report with the auditor's report, and you are perfectly fine.
All right. So I quite like some of the detail that's in 1.2.1, but let's amend that. So we have, you're saying received the draft 2015 annual report?
No, the first step is to approve the annual report for adoption. Then you receive the auditor's report.
Okay.
And lastly, adopt the annual report with the auditor's report.
Okay. So we adopt. That the council approves the
Annual report.
the 2015 annual report.
Yes.
No, we've got that, the council at the top. So you just put approves the 2015 annual report. Yeah, you need to take out one point. Yeah, that's right. So just turn that into approves.
Yes. So we need to put that into our budget.
Well, you can just delete. Sorry.
I know.
For adoption, full stop. Take out the rest of it. We don't need to have the... the council doesn't need to review the statement of compliance for adoption. No, that's already done. So take out 1.2.2. And we don't need to do the next one either. And then, so the next one is receives the
Audit report.
Audit report.
And then you adopt.
Do we want to have anything in there about the nature of the qualified opinion, or just receive it?
Receive it, yeah.
Just receive it. Receives the auditor's report, adopts the annual report with the inclusion of the independent auditor's report for the year ending 30th June 2015, and then delete the rest. Oh, except for leave 1.2.7. So, is that right?
2.5.
What about 1.2?
Do we need any minor error? You've
we
already
need
done
1.
all that.
No, we need 1.2.5.
Okay, 1.2.5 remains.
1.2.7.
You don't need 1.2.6?
Yeah, we need 2.5, 2.6 and 2.7.
Okay, so you just need to change the numbers, so it's 3, 4, 5 and 6. And just so that I've got everything clarified, that's been moved by Councillor Manji, seconded by Councillor Goff. I'll put that motion again. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that's it. So I will declare. I'll declare the meeting closed.